order. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can you, oh, I'm sorry. Next on the agenda is a moment of silence. I would like to donate or dedicate the moment of silence today to Sandra Shimon Rogers, Isaac Barajas, Greg Grimm, and Mrs. Carlson. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders? Present. Trustee McNaughton? Trustee Consolino? Trustee Fialco?
Present.
Trustee Stylen? Present. Trustee Mason?
Present.
Mayor Neitzke-Troike?
Present. There's no community recognition this evening. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Reinders?
second.
Trustee Mason, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of minutes, there are none for this evening. Public comment, is there any public comment? None? There's none anyways. Reports and communications from President and other officers. Village Manager Joe Baber.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank our employees who are working before, during, and after Homerfest. They're doing a great job, and we appreciate their efforts. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baber. Trustees. Trustee Fialco.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Welcome back from your vacation.
Thank you.
Well deserved, we know. I'd like to just remind everybody that Homerfest starts on Thursday, June 27th. Our fireworks are that night. And as far as Homerfest, I'd like to add on to what the village manager said. Our fest is a combination of a team effort between committee, staff, and volunteers, and organizations that come out and assist, and also our sponsors. We've had a great turnout for sponsorship this year. In Homerfest, when it comes down to it, when we're all done, it actually is a zero cost to the taxpayer. So we're very fortunate for that, for the team that we've got and everything that we do to make that a success for our village. Anyway, I'd like to mention a few of our sponsors, if I could. All Around Amusement, Bankston Farm, Lakeshore Beverage, Myers, Culver's, Ice Storm Recovery, Renewal by Anderson, Power Home Remodeling, Sam's Bar and Gaming, Hawk Chevy Cadillac, Booth Orthodontics, Homewood Disposal, Mugshots, Taza, and again, my favorite is the pistachio chicken, HR Green, Bussy Bank, Tilmar Kennels, Homer Tree Care, Lobos and Associates, and then our supporting sponsors are Chesdon's, Gas and Wash, Bump and Grind, Lakota Group, Coldwell Banker, ComEd, Nick's Barbecue, and in-kind donations come from Home Depot, Standard Construction, Portable John, BI Rental, Whitmore Ace, and E-Cycle Technologies. With that said, just a quick thing for our lineup. On Thursday, we've got the 815. We always try to take care of local talent, and we start off the fest with local talent as best as we can. So starting at 4 o'clock, the 815 out of Lockport. After that, Hillbilly Rockstars. Then Mike and Joe will complete the night, and we've got a few surprises in between before the fireworks. On Friday, from The Voice, Olivia Monique. The All-American Throwbacks, and the Semple Band, who Keith Semple was the lead singer at one time 10 years ago for Seventh Heaven. On Saturday, we've got Duncan, Instant Recall, Buckle, which is a country band, and then Seventh Heaven will finish off Saturday night. We also have a few surprises that night. Then when we get to Sunday, last year we had a little bit of Italian music in the beginning of the day. This year it will be polka and pierogies with the music company, a Polish band, and then Davenport Project, and then Shake Baby Shake. This guy is coming in. He was from, just so everybody knows, Shake Baby Shake is Lance Lipinski and the Lovettes. He actually was in the play The $1 Million Quartet. He has all kinds of Tony Awards that they got nominated for. He was on the I want to say the Ed Sullivan Show. He was on the David Letterman Show. And so he's coming all the way out from Texas to rock Homer Glen with the 50s music on that night to close out Homerfest. So I hope we see everybody out there, and please be safe and have a good time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Fielko. Trustee Reinders?
I would just like to, I'm sorry. I would just like to bring the residents up to date on something that we are doing at the Parks Committee. And that is we are assessing all of our parks throughout Homer Glen. I'm sorry, Homer Glen, I can't talk today. So what we're doing is we're actually looking at each one of the parks and assessing what kind of equipment or replacement that the parks need. We have just been working with our grant writer, and our grant writer is informing us that we need to start making lists of these things because that there's people out there that want to include inclusivity, and it's a matter of safety as well. So we need to really take a look at that, and that's what we're doing. So if any of the residents feel that their parks need anything, they can email me at the village, and I'll be happy to put that on our list. Thank you. That's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Stylen?
Yes, I'm speaking for the Community Development Committee. We're excited to be having our first fishing derby on July 20th. And just look for a registration for that online just right after the fest, probably on Monday. And also, I've been talking about the Family Fun Day, and we've changed that to August 31st, so it'll now follow the parade, which will also take place on August 31st. Thank you.
Trustee Mason?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to start off by letting everybody know that on the 3rd, our Behavioral Health and Drug Addiction Committee will be canceling, and so will our Public Safety and Public Services. Also, I know how hard everybody's been working on the Homerfest, especially the village staff. I'd like to thank Lieutenant Pete Piazza and his team as well. Lieutenant Piazza put together, on top of all of his other duties, a very comprehensive plan. And I just want everyone to stay safe during the fest. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Mason. Village Clerk? No report. Village Attorney?
No report, ma'am.
Public Safety Officials? And I wasn't here last time, but welcome. And then that leaves me. I really don't have anything to report. Just something fun for Homerfest. Konos Corn Maze has donated some like little cute little tractor things for any resident who hasn't signed up for our Civic Ready, which is actually our village's communication system. So if anybody hasn't or already has signed up for that, you will be entered into a raffle to win a little cute like ride-on tractor thing for kids. Adults can ride it too, I guess, but it's more or less geared towards kids, small adults.
Just a little.
But that's just pretty much it. All right, we're going to move on to consent agenda. There's nothing on the consent agenda. So we're going to move on to legislation and action items. Number 1, consider for approval a proclamation designating the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Trustee Fielko and Trustee Mason. I see Jen in the audience. Would you like to read it, Jennifer? Or, okay. Do you have it with you? I have it right here. Jennifer is in charge of our parks, so I think it would be special for her to read it.
Designation of July as Parks and Recreation Month for the Village of Homer Glen. Whereas parks and recreation activities are an integral part of the communities throughout the country, including the Village of Homer Glen. And whereas one of the Village of Homer Glen's many objectives is the establishment of a parks and recreation system that promotes healthy lifestyles by offering active and passive recreational opportunities for residents and employees and visitors, and enhances the overall image and character of the community. And whereas Homer Glen and the recreation opportunities are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in Homer Glen. And whereas the parks and recreation activities build healthy, active communities that aid in prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation, and improve mental and emotional health for all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation activities increase communities' economic prosperity through increased property values, increased tourism, and crime reduction. And whereas the parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, and improve the quality of the air that we breathe. And whereas our parks and national areas ensure the ecological beauty of Homer Glen and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreation and outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month in the United States. And whereas the Village of Homer Glen recognizes the benefits derived from the parks and recreation resources and is working every year to expand the village's beautiful park system. Now, therefore, to be proclaimed by the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Homer Glen that July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois.
Thank you, Jennifer. Is there any discussion regarding the proclamation?
I didn't mean to step on Trustee Reinder's toes. I wanted to second it because I wanted to actually thank Jen and Trustee Reinders myself. I've been to quite a few of these parks and I've attended a couple functions with both ladies, and you guys are doing an outstanding job. What you guys did in Stonebridge was beautiful. What you've done by Evelyn's Gate is beautiful. We appreciate everything that you guys do and the sentiments that you bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Stylen, do you have anything?
Yeah, I can echo all of that. I've been impressed every time I come to the parks to see how nice they are, even to the little rain gauge that's out there by the patio, and just great job.
Trustee Fialko?
I echo the same sentiments about the parks. I will leave my time to Rose.
Trustee Reinders?
Well, I would just like to thank Jen and let her know how much I enjoy working with her and how much our committee works well with her. We love her ideas. She's just a breath of fresh air. She really takes an interest in our parks, excuse me, and she's on top of things. I can call her at any time of the day and say, we have a resident, and we know who our resident is. She's calling, and Jen and her team will go out there. So I have really enjoyed working with you, and I don't think our parks have ever looked better. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, I echo everything they say as well. Jennifer, you're always there when there's an issue with the park. You and Rose both, Trustee Reinders both. So we really do appreciate you. And I was not here last time to recognize you for all the other help that you've done with the ponds and the fishing derby with St. Bernard's Church. So thank you so much for doing that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Stylen? Aye. Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. 2, consider for approval an ordinance granting of a variance to reduce the required south side yard setback for a patio from 10 feet to 5 feet for certain real property located in the R6 multifamily residence district at 16037 South Sid Creek Drive, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG 2411-V. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, Trustee Reinders, Trustee Fialko?
I see that the Planning Commission did their work on this. We've done this before for others, and I really don't have too much more to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Reinders?
And I echo everything that Trustee Fialko just said. I actually was at the Plan Commission meeting, and so we've actually granted this, as he said, to other residents, so I'm in favor of it.
Trustee Stylen?
Yes, appreciate all the letters from the residents that wrote in favor of it, and it's just an odd thing for this zoning and this subdivision, so all in favor of it.
Trustee Mason?
It was like old home week for me reading through it. So I knew everybody. I've actually talked to the residents, and it's a custom community, custom homes, and they're just beautifying it yet again. So I have no issues.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 3, consider for an approval an ordinance granting of a special use permit for outdoor seating associated with a permitted resident restaurant for certain real property located in the C1 Neighborhood Commercial District at 12320 West 143rd Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG 2412SP. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko and Trustee
And I'll
Reinders.
second.
Trustee Reinders,
Oh,
actually.
sorry. I didn't
Before you
agree.
go on, Trustee Fialko, I just wanted to make one little comment. Oh, wait. Wait, I screwed up. We just went over this. All right, we have to approve one of the 2 motions in your packet. So Trustee Fialko, you had motioned, but are you motioning for consideration option 1?
Do you want to read the option 2?
That's what I was gonna
Start-
say.
Maybe start over.
So, well, is there a motion for consideration of option 1 as read at the Plan Commission? Is there a motion to approve an ordinance granting a special use permit for outdoor seating associated with permitted restaurant for certain real property located in the C1 Neighborhood Commercial District at 12320 West 143rd Street, Homer, Glen, Illinois, HD 2412 SP, subject to following condition: bollards around the entire perimeter? Or motion for consideration option 2 as recommended by village staff. Is there a motion to approve an ordinance granting of special use permit for outdoor seating associated with a permitted restaurant for certain real property located in C1 Neighborhood Commercial District at 12320 West 143rd Street, Homer, Glen, Illinois, HG 2412 SP, subject to the following terms and conditions: bollards around the entire perimeter, permit the use of vinyl fencing, and that no landscaping planters be required?
So my motion I'd like to make towards option 2, which looks like it would be the best benefit for the business, and it's recommended by the staff, so.
Thank you.
And I will go with option 2 as well.
Okay. So I know there was a little confusion at Planning Commission. They did approve when the motion was read. They read it as motion 1, but they were referencing all the comments to motion 2. So I just wanted for clarification, this is actually what the Planning Commission was pushing for. So Trustee Fielko, do you have any comments?
No, I'm very familiar with that property. Anytime we can help a business like this, and that's to the side, and that property to the east of them is a huge piece of property, and the house is pretty far away from, and I didn't see any complaints, unless somebody can tell me that there is. The Planning Commission got this at 5-0, so I support whatever we can do to help that business.
Thank you. Trustee Reinders?
There was no public comment, they didn't receive any letters or anything like that objecting to the project, so I'm fine with it.
Trustee Steilen?
Yeah, I just think it'll be a nice improvement actually to the back of the property, and I always welcome an opportunity to eat outside. So.
Trustee Mason?
I love wrought iron, but vinyl works here, so absolutely.
And I apologize for reading the motion 3 times. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Trustee Fialko?
Aye?
Trustee Steilen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 4, consideration of resolution R24-012 to file an objection to rezoning for Will County ZC 24030 for property located at 13764 South Archer Avenue, Lamont, Illinois 60439. PIN 16-05-06-200-020-0000 and 16-05-06-200-190000. Is there a motion or is there a motion? My recommendation is to table.
Motion to table.
I was going to actually recommend that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Trustee Reinders, Trustee Mason, is there any discussion on tabling?
I'll make the motion to table L4.
Oh, Trustee
I already
Reinders.
did.
Oh, you did? I didn't. I'm sorry. I thought you said that your recommendation.
That was her recommendation.
I didn't
Trustee
hear that.
Reinders, did you have anything to talk about or discuss?
Well, I mean, there's some things that we've learned, and we've learned that, this went before the Lamont board, and they basically tabled it, so I think we ought to just follow their lead.
Trustee Mason?
Yeah, I know there was a letter and there was some confusion from Lamont, and with that being said, until we get further along in the process, I would like to table this until we can get more information on it.
Trustee Fialko?
I'm on board with everybody else.
Trustee Steilen?
Agreed.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Steilen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 5, consider for approval an ordinance number 24-033, an ordinance approving the execution of an agreement of purchase and sale and granting the Village of Homer Glen the sole exclusive right and option for a period of 90 days to purchase for public use approximately 30 acres of property located at 159th and Gauger Road, Will County, Illinois, property for a non-refundable option initial deposit fee of $50,000 and no cents, and potentially purchase and close on the property for the total purchase price for $4 million and no cents, plus all applicable closing and site preparation costs. The execution of the agreement and the 90-day option period to allow the village to continue to assess and evaluate the future purchase of the property, and the $50,000 non-refundable option initial deposit fee would be applied towards the total purchase for any closing pursuant to the agreement of purchase and sale.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Reinders, is there a
I'll second
second?
it.
Trustee Fialko. Trustee Reinders?
This is, one of the things I would like to say is that, all too often, we hear from our residents that they don't want us to be another Orland Park or another Lockport. By purchasing this property, we will be in control of our destiny. We will no longer be at the mercy of other municipalities that put their needs before our needs. We talk about developing 159th Street, when in reality, we haven't been able to give developers what they need to develop here because we aren't in control. If we want to maintain the character, the charm, and the quaintness of our village, then purchasing this property is a step in the right direction.
Thank you, Trustee Reinders. I do want to note that Mr. Goddard, the attorney for the sellers, is here as well to answer any questions the board members may have. Trustee Fialko?
I just would like to say that this had been discussed for a long time in executive session, and it will fit into the future plans of Homer Glen very well, and I support it.
Thank you. Trustee Mason?
I concur with both Trustee Reinders and Trustee Fialko. This is something that we need to do. At the same time, we need to be able to control our destiny. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Stylen?
All of you pretty much said it all. It's taking control over what we can with our water and sewer, and I totally support it.
Thank you. Village Manager Joe Baber, did you happen to talk to, so when we make it a purchase with such a large dollar amount, I would prefer the entire board to be present when a matter like this takes place. Have you talked to Trustees Consolino or Trustee McNaughton on their, not that it matters because the vote is here today, but have you talked to either one of them and their preference?
I have not.
Trustee Reinders, we can go around again for discussion.
Just so you know, Trustee Consolino at our last executive session did agree with the purchase of this property.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Trustee Mason?
I spoke to Trustee McNaughton today, and he is in the same place that we are.
Okay, I would just like to know next time when we have something to this magnitude, I would just like to have majority of the board here. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye?
Motion carries. We're going to move on to old business. Anything for old business that we're going to discuss must be related to today's agenda since it is a special meeting. So is there anything that anybody wants to re-talk about that we talked about today? No. Moving on to new business. Is there anything new you'd like to talk about of anything we already discussed today? Nope. All right. There's no workshop, and we're going to move into executive session. Is there a motion to?
I'll make that motion to move to executive session.
I'll second.
Trustee Mason, Trustee Reinders, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Oh, we're going to an executive session for discussion regarding pending litigation.